Hello everyone, welcome back to the session. In this session, I would like to discuss about operating system services of operating system codes. Now let's see what are the services provided by operating system. Now basically, this operating system will provide an environment for execution of programs and services to the programs and users. So it will provide some services to both the programs and users, that is to the system and user. Now, out of these services, some set of services will be helpful for user and some set of services will be helpful for the system itself. Now, let's see overview of this services, whatever it is providing. So, this diagram is clearly showing you the different services provided by the operating system. Now, if you'll observe, these are the set of services which are hardware is there, hardware and services. In between we have like hardware, uh, then we have operating system. Inside that there are some services which are provided by the operating system. Now on the other side user will be there. Now let's see what are the services provided by operating system. Just observe the diagram carefully. If user is on this side, then user will be actually is interacting with the operating system. So when he is interacting with the operating system, we should see that the interface between user and the operating system is simple. Otherwise, he can't interact that. So that interface is called as user interface. And this user interface is actually of the different types. One is command line interface, batch interface. Another one is GUI interface, that is graphical user interface. So user interface is the interface which acts as an mediator between the user on the other side and system on this side. So this is one of the major service provided by the operating system. Now other than this service there are some more services. Let's have a look on the services. One of the service is program execution. Next is IO operation, file systems, communication, resource allocation, accounting, protection and security, error detection. So all these services are provided by the operating system. Next, this user interface will take the services from the remaining one with the help of system calls. So here system calls are acting as an interface between the user interface and the OS here. So we will be discussing about system calls in detail in the next video. So this is about OS services. Now let's see in detail what are all these services. The first one, as I told, is user interface. So let's start with that. So the most important service provided by the operating system is user interface. So with the help of user interface only, the user will be able to communicate with the operating system. So almost all the operating systems have a user interface. Some will be command line interface, some will be graphical user interface, and some will be batch interface. Now let's see what is command line interface. In short, we call it as CLI. So command line interface is nothing but it's an interface where the user will interact with the system based on some commands. So it is like a example is our Unix operating system, where we will give every instruction to the system in terms of commands. So here, and let's see this CLI or command interpreter allows direct command entry. Sometimes it is implemented in kernel, sometimes by system program, and it has multiple layers of shell. Shell is nothing but it's a shell programming we have in Unix operating system. Next is primarily it fetches the command from user and executes it. So it is basically command driven interface. Next is GUI. GUI, we all know that it is a graphical user interface where the user will interact with the system based on the graphics, that is icons that are displayed on the operating system. Example is our Windows operating system. In Windows operating system, we'll be interacting with the system. Suppose I want to open a file, then we have to click on the folder which represents your file. So you're not giving any command, directly you're clicking on the icon. So likewise, uh, some interfaces will be there which are graphical user interfaces. So usually mouse, keyboard and monitor will be supporting that. Mm, Next, icons represents files, programs, actions, etc. and various mouse buttons or objects in the interface cause various actions. Example, it is invented at Xerox PARC first. So this is one interface. The other one we have some nowadays we have in some systems including both CLI and GUI, that is command line interpreter and graphical user interface. So example is in Microsoft Windows, actually it is UI with CLI also, where we have uh, shell command script where we have to enter the commands. And if, in Apple Mac OS X, Aqua GUI interface with Unix kernel underneath and shells are available. So it has both a GUI and uh, CLI. So likewise, nowadays we all we can have both command line interface and GUI interface also. This is the one of the major what you'll call interface provided by the service provided by the operating system. Now let's see the next one, that is program execution. So what is program execution mean is the system will be helping you to load the program into memory and to execute that, and after execution you may exit either successfully or unsuccessfully. So this entire support is provided by the operating system, so it will help you to program execution. So remember that to execute any program, first of all, it should be loaded into the memory and then it should be executed. So that support is given by operating system. Next is IO operation. IO operation means any program that is executing will need some input output resources. So if it needs, then we have to provide that. So that is provided by the operating system. So operating system will decide to which process the resources should be given, either input resources or output resources. It will manage the resources actually among some set of processes. That's why it is given other name also, that is resource allocator. So we'll see that also. So second service is program execution. Third is IO operation, so it supports IO operations. Next is fourth is file system manipulation. So what is file system? A collection of files arranged in some particular order is called as file system. So this file system is managed by the user actually. So when you want to write something to the file, or when you want to read something from the file and from a heap, from a large collection of files, then the operating system will help you to search that, will help you to create and delete the directories, and will help you to search the file in particular directory, and it will also help you to provide the permissions to your file, that is to set the permissions to your file, and all those are basically supported by the file system. So if you'll observe in Windows operating system, if you'll create any file and if you want your file to be protected, then you can actually uh, provide some features like hidden options and those and etc. So that option is available or is provided by the operating system actually. Next is communication. So communication is like when a user is wants to talk to another user via network, that is supported by the operating system. And sometimes the processors may exchange information on the computer, same computer, or between computers over a network. So processors, we have seen about IPs, inter process communication. So when they are communicating with each other, they'll be using the mechanisms like shared memory or message passing. If it is using any of these two, then the background support is provided by the operating system. Next is error detection. Error detection is basically, from the name you can guess, error detection support from OS will support you, like finding the errors in your programs, finding the errors in your hardware, IO devices, etc. So wherever possibility of error detection is there, OS will handle that and it will provide to the user the information about the error. Now that is one more major advantage, one more major service of operating system. Next one is resource allocation. Now resource allocation, like I told, generally there will be some set of resources available in the system. Now the operating system's job is to distribute these resources to all the processes in a in a manner such that there will not be any deadlock or there will not be any starvation. So operating system will manage all the resources. So that's why it is also called as resource allocator. So here, let's see the definition. The owners of information stored in multi-user or networked computer system. When multiple users or multiple jobs running concurrently, resources must be allocated to each of them. Many of the types of resources are like CPU cycles, main memory, file storage, IO devices, etc. So all these are managed by the operating system. Next is accounting. Accounting means, from the name itself we can guess, accounting says that OS will keep track of all the processes and all the users, means how many users used the computer resources for how much time, and how much they made the CPU idle, how much they utilize the CPU. Likewise, they'll keep track of everything, every resource, every process, every user. So that is basically helpful for keeping for maintenance. So you can generally in our daily life also will be seeing that uh, like for example, I want to know how many people have access to my printer. So I'll just set the settings in that. I can easily see how many papers are being printed by my printer. So that is nothing but accounting, which is provided by the operating system. And the last service provided by operating system is protection and security. So it even provides the support for protection and security. So why means, if you're working in an networked area, that is in a network, then if you have any important data, for securing your data you can take the help of operating system, where it will provide the protection. Now let's see the definition. The owners of information stored in a multi-user or network computer system may want to control the use of that information. Concurrent processes should not interfere with each other. Now here we should know 2 points. One is protection, another one is security. Now let's see what is protection. Protection involves ensuring that all access to the system resources is controlled. So it will just ensure that your resources are accessed in a controlled manner. That is protection. Next is security. Security will ensure that outsiders, when they are trying to access your data, they need some authentication. So this is security. Providing authentication is security. Restricting to access anything, that is like ensuring that all access to the system resources is controlled, is called as protection. So these are the like services provided by the operating system. So let's recall what we have learned. So we have learned about user interface. There we have learned that command line and GUI were there separately. Now they're combinedly available. Batch is also same like command line interpreter. Next, we have some set of operation services provided by the operating system. Now, some of them are user supportive, some of them are system supportive. So these are the total nine services provided by the operating system. Thank you all.